China is a vast country, and after 8 earlier videos of other widely scattered parts of China, we are now on the coast to see bustling Shanghai, and then a very different Chinese city, Hong Kong. But first, let's look at fascinating Shanghai. This is the famous Bund of Shanghai, the old original settlement area of the English concession and later the American concession. Western trading nations were originally allowed access only to Macau and Canton, but under the 1842 Treaty of Nanjing, imposed by the British after the 2-year Opium Wars, Shanghai quickly became the major entry port and is now the 3rd largest in the world and a vital factor in China's recent industrial growth. Again, looking right along the Bund. Although other Chinese cities have been significantly influenced by foreigners, Shanghai is by far the most European city in all of China. With no solid rock to a depth of 200 metres and all structures virtually floating on mud, there were few tall buildings until the new construction techniques evolved, and even today, Shanghai is not yet the high-rise jungle its huge population might otherwise suggest. This is the large passenger ferry, which can take people more than 1,000 kilometres up the mighty Yangtze River. Looking along the famous Bund in Shanghai. This is where the English, French, American entrepot companies set up their headquarters as a trading post into China, way back in the 19th century. Wonderful building. Very European, not Chinese at all. These are the famous old European built buildings along the Bund. Traffic on the Bund is almost hopeless. Pedestrian light means absolutely nothing.
So I mean, I do not want you to cross that.
We walked back up Nanjing Street, the main street of Shanghai. It travels inland from the Bund for more than 5 miles. And we are now going for a walk through a maze of shopping alleys, which shows some very fine examples of older style Shanghai buildings and typical narrow lanes of shops and dwellings. Narrow little laneway. And these are typical old Shanghai style Chinese buildings, still surviving. The Yuyuan Garden, or Garden of Joy, covers an area of more than 20 hectares, with artificial hills, quite a rarity in the mudflats of Shanghai, plus many lakes and pavilions connected by zigzag bridges. The Huixingting Tea House has been a favourite meeting place for Shanghai's musicians, artists and intellectuals for more than 300 years. Truly delightful place. The people of Shanghai have long enjoyed the treasures and pavilions of Yuyuan Garden and have preserved its peace and tranquility in the midst of a crowded city beset by centuries of conflict and foreign occupation. This is one of the beautiful pavilions with many treasures inside. Superb furniture, wonderful carving. Delightful little walled water garden and wonderful roofscapes everywhere.
Really? Yeah. Yeah. Just the day before I met you in Guilin last year. The day before that.
You got to go out and just an hour before us, didn't you?
Just look at that. But it's time to go, and a walk back through a maze of shopping alleys. Again, we see the fine examples of older style Shanghai buildings. Shops everywhere, of course. Shanghai Tourist Shopping Centre. But we now go back to rejoin our coach to take a visit to a famous children's palace. Founded by Sun Qingling, the widow of Dr. Sun Yat-sen, the father of modern China, the Children's Palace offers after-school opportunity for Shanghai's specially gifted children. Isn't she just wonderful? one's not quite so attentive, or that one, but she knows what she's doing. This was a beginner's ballet class, as you can see, but they're really enjoying themselves. The differing features of these delightful youngsters show the meeting of many different nationalities in Shanghai over the years. This was a delightful surprise. I wonder if we could sing Auld Lang Syne in Chinese and English. This was real virtuoso playing, and they're only very young children. Slight operating problem here. What a finish! The special opportunity school for kids. But we must go. And this is the lovely garden of the fine old Shanghai home, which has now become the Children's Palace in Shanghai. This is downtown Shanghai at night. We finally arrived at our hotel, the Shanghai Sheraton. A great, massive marble hotel, typical American style. Empty. Yes, it was empty. The tourists were not there. And the check-in is formalised to the point where we have to sit and be indoctrinated about the hotel while out of catering. The floors are polished. No tourists. Smart escalators, spiral staircases, external glass lifts, grand ballroom, while we wait for our room to be allocated. And it took forever to get our rooms allocated.
Early next morning, Shanghai from our hotel window. A rather smoggy morning, but like most big cities, Shanghai apparently has a very serious smog problem. This is looking downtown towards the Bund area and the high-rise buildings. There's a great deal of construction going on in Shanghai right now. Already a city of 16 million people. It's got a way to go yet.
That was our morning wake-up call. Although first habitation can be traced to 4000 BC, Shanghai was only a tiny fishing village perched on the mudflats of the Yangtze estuary 1,000 years ago.
Without a subway yet, one is now being built. But as the whole of Shanghai is only 2.4 metres above sea level, and the subway will be well below sea level, it presents a very major construction problem, which has delayed its construction until now.
Shanghai became an important trading port with a population of 350,000 people by the year 1300, as they gradually reclaimed lands from the rivers, marshes and swamps and developed the city. In the 15th century, Japanese and Korean traders were prominent merchants in Shanghai. But then came the Japanese, Korean and Chinese pirates, who controlled the sea land and threatened the city itself. A city wall 5 kilometres long, 6 metres high and 5 metres thick was built, with 6 land gates, 4 water gates and 25 guard towers. But by the year 1560 the pirate threat had vanished and the wall, surrounding what became known as the native city until 1912, was demolished in the year 1914. The city then commenced to spread outside the wall.
Later the smog lifted and the skyline could be seen a little more clearly. It's a big city, and with 16 million people I guess it has to be.
Just look at those sprawling housing blocks.
And down below, the kids are doing their morning Tai Chi. In the foyer next morning, it was all action. So from the rolling restaurant up top and the external lift, we pan down to the foyer of the Sheraton in Shanghai as we prepare to leave.
First stop is Chinese carpet manufacturer.
This is a carpet factory in Shanghai. That's the Dragon Wall in Beijing. And they're fixing the colours now to get ready to make
carpet. Sure looks like hard work. Here they are doing the carpet of the Great Wall. There is the patterning behind, and here they are working on the vertical on the carpet. Carpet moves up, the workers take their seat high above the floor with a wall of colour selection of silk thread for weaving carpet. Carving a finished carpet using electric tools. Shop.
That's very nice.
And the Australian dollar is worth almost 4 yuan.
Good right here.
The carpets were good value, but I'd hate to carry one home on the plane. Inevitably there'd be a delightful panda on the carpet somewhere. We're now looking at jewelry. There he is setting a diamond into a ring. It will then be heated to secure the stone and the wax will melt away, leaving the gold ring with the securely set diamond in it. He takes extreme care to make sure it is right. Here's another one being filed down to take some unevenness off the shoulder. This is gilded, not all gold. A pagoda is a very favoured item in China. This is solid gold. Quite astonishing to see what large pieces are in fact made in solid gold. This is solid gold. Chinese like to invest their money in gold, and I guess if you can have solid gold as an item you can enjoy as well, it does make certain sense.
Now we've got trouble.
Always something to buy. Although good value, we weren't tempted. Although there were some Australian opals and bracelets like this with opals in them in gold setting, which were really good value.
Here's a tray of opals, Australian opals, in gold.
We now drive through crowded parts of the old city to see the Jade Buddha Temple on the western outskirts of Shanghai. In this part of town, remnants of the old Shanghai remain, and we are driving along a typical street now.
This is back street, the old town.
These are gradually disappearing, of course, as new construction takes over. So there are a few places now where you can see such a typical old Shanghai street.
Now when we get to the Jade Buddha Temple, this is called the lotus position. Lotus flowers signifies that though they grow in mud, but they remain unsoiled.
The Jade Buddha Temple is famous for its two Buddha statues made of white jade brought from Burma in the year 1882.
We're now going to visit the Jade Buddha Temple. And here we are at the Jade Buddha Temple.
The sleeping Buddha, depicting his entry into nirvana, is a special rarity. Photography prohibited, of course, so I had to sneak these shots through a window. It was a very substantial temple complex with wonderful courtyards and pavilions, and quite unique roofscapes.
That's the mirror to reflect the sun into the sanctuary of the Buddhist temple.
Delightful courtyard and wonderful roofs. Just look at that one. And most unusual decorations on the wall. These are incense sticks being lit, each one of them, of course, carrying a prayer to heaven. Although I could not photograph it, the statue of the seated Buddha is 2 meters tall, in white jade, decorated with precious jewels and weighs 1,000 kilos. It is world famous and is jealously guarded by the 70 monks who live here. Just look at that rooftop of the temple. There's our party making a quick visit into the temple. I couldn't photograph inside, of course. And then we're on our way up.
King Road, and we go to lunch.
The bicycle hunting area.
A delightful colonial style building where we had our lunch.
Very slow. Airport bus, yeah.
Good Shanghai
Our
beer.
last meal in China, proper, in Shanghai.
A good meal. Kevin Woods really enjoyed that one. Time for another one too. It was great beer and a great meal.
Road, the main street in Shanghai. Bamboo scaffolding surround the refurbishment of a major building.
This is a wonderful circular overpass on the junction of the two main streets in Shanghai. Two of our party walk by as we see them from below. Polaroid cameraman is the centre of attraction there. This is China's famous #1 department store, which we will visit later. It's by far the largest in all of China.
Beautiful texture of the bamboo scaffolding of this building under renovation. While below
The traffic builds up very easily, almost anywhere in China, because there's simply too many people on the road and not enough roads for them all. This is actually a quiet spot. This is more like it.
Nanjing Road, Shanghai. Just look at those people. #1 department store in Shanghai.
As I said earlier, it's by far the largest in all of China, and it shows. It's always crowded, apparently. This is just a normal sort of shopping day. It looks more like Christmas shopping in Sydney, I guess. The store is a fairly disorganised one, but it seems to work. Stock scattered rather haphazardly as we would see it in our understanding of how a shopping complex is laid out. But people seem to know where to find what they want, and the store seems to be doing quite good business. Shoes everywhere there. Chinese computer. Out on the street again. This is middle of all this traffic. Fast up we're going. Try to keep the streets clean in a city like this. It is now late afternoon and we are about to go out to Shanghai airport to take a 2-hour evening flight to Hong Kong. A very different city, as we will shortly see. But this last look at Nanjing Road was really worth having. Said to be one of the most crowded thoroughfares in the world. One can certainly understand that. Beijing Games, or the Asian Games in Beijing, were about to commence and being heavily advertised. One last look at this beautiful bamboo scaffolding around the fine old colonial building being restored. And it's time to leave Shanghai and have a look at Hong Kong.
After an evening flight from Shanghai, next morning finds us in Hong Kong. And that is Kowloon across the water. There's a school sports day on the playground across the road.
We had a great view from a hotel room on Hong Kong Island. And here we go across the harbour on the Star Ferry, heading to Kowloon from Hong Kong Island. And there's the peak on Hong Kong Island. We are leaving the wharf at Wan Chai. Cyclone season and very high humidity all around.
Kong Island.
There's our ferry Solar Star as we leave it in Kowloon. Kowloon is a maze of air-conditioned shopping centres with overhead walkways taking you wherever you want to go. It's just one big shop, shop, shop. You really don't have to get down to street level at any stage, but let's have a look at it from street level where it does look quite interesting. It's in Shanghai East, which is on the eastern end of the Kowloon side. Huge hotels everywhere.
This is the lobby of the Shangri-La Hotel.
Masses of marble luxury, very opulent lobbies, very poorly patronised. There are not many tourists around. This is down the older part of Kowloon, where all the street level shops vie with one another.
Leaving Kowloon on the Star Ferry, we head back across Hong Kong Harbour to the island of Victoria, or Hong Kong Island.
I've cut down the sound level here because the noise of the wind on the microphone of my camera was such that it virtually blanked out everything. So I felt it was better to eliminate the sound almost altogether and try and tell you a little about what we're doing. We're now crossing the harbour to Victoria Island or Hong Kong, and there is one of the little sampans that unload these big container from the container ships and take them ashore. It seems a cumbersome way to do it, but it apparently works well. And we're now looking across towards the new convention centre and the Hyatt Hotel on Hong Kong Island. And we're now coming in towards the wharf at Wan Chai, where we will land. Another look at that convention centre, swinging the camera around in the panorama of the area.
And we now approach the jetty at Wan Chai.
Arches on the lawn in front of our hotel window next morning. And across the harbour is what one always expects to see. It's almost symptomatic of
The full sail with a Star Ferry and a more modern launch in front.
a red sail on Hong Kong Harbour. That seems to be the junk one always expects to be there, typical of the area. Busy, busy, busy on all the crossovers on the island and overhead walkways across the street. And high rise everywhere. I wonder they walkway now to a wonderful exhibition, the autumn exhibition of Chinese works of art at the new Hong Kong Art and Cultural Centre. We were very fortunate to see this. It was a quite outstanding exhibition, and the people of Hong Kong were really appreciating what they were seeing. Superb paintings, wonderful carved mountain-shaped rocks. The Chinese love these. Lots of good pottery, carved jade. Just look at those mountain-shaped pieces of rock. Aren't they superb? And that's the remarkable thing about it, because here were the Hong Kong Chinese really appreciating what they saw from their compatriots on mainland China. This is some very fine jade. Look at the crabs on the rock. Beautifully done. Outside again, noisy. And across the harbour, a cruise liner and a Star Ferry and a junk. And another junk. And yet another. Sightseers on the harbour. This is in the restaurant of the convention centre, looking out through the glass wall onto the harbour. And we're now travelling down on some quite remarkable escalators that zigzag their way down level with the face of the glass wall, looking out from the exhibition centre across the harbour. Very spectacular building. Flags of all the nations there. This is the Grand Hyatt Hotel vestibule. And this vestibule was really something massive, a wonderful pink marble. Just look at it. In the true Grand Hyatt Hotel style. Dining with a wonderful view of the harbour through the glass wall. Strengthens the cyclone, of course. And looking in the other direction, a wonderful garden right outside, complete with waterfall. There it is, look at that, beautiful. And the pianist, fine music to entertain the diners and echo around this really superb foyer of the Grand Hyatt Hotel, Hong Kong. And this is the Hyatt Hotel, which combines with the new Hong Kong Convention Centre. Quite something. All looking out over this magnificent harbour. Tourist junk out on the harbour. A more traditional ocean-going junk coming by. Star ferry behind it. The boat ship, Conrad and the Marriott. Astonishing building. Bank Negara, Indonesia. This by is the very controversial Bank of China building. That aroused great controversy when it was built. Tallest in Hong Kong at that time. Hotel Sirana with its revolving restaurant up top. Time to go. Passengers aboard with all their purchases, heading down Hong Kong Harbour to the sea. Naval base, HMS Cathay, on the island, and Kowloon beyond. Boycott the Beijing Asian Games. Object to the bloody massacre in Tiananmen Square. This is a protest meeting on Hong Kong about the Asian Games and the massacre of the students at Tiananmen Square just a year before. Fine old colonial buildings and high-rise behind. Flyovers and freeways and tall buildings all over Hong Kong Island. It's now nearing dusk and the lights are coming on. Back into the overhead walkways with the multitude of shops. This is the foyer of the Hong Kong Marriott. Terracotta warriors standing down below, artificial trees, a nice dining room, all looking out on the harbour on Sunday night. This is all part of the Marriott vestibule. Now on the streets, we see the famous double-decker trams as we head down into Shanghai. Indonesian, Filipino and Malaysian cuisine, or, if you prefer it, the home of the American pizza. Or the island hot pot restaurant. All sorts of other things, if you want them, including massages, sauna bars, seafood, some excellent fruit. Next morning, here are the trams as we head down to have a look at Aberdeen. Aboard one of the little bumboats to go out onto the Aberdeen harbour and see something of the crowded floating life in Aberdeen, including the two big world-renowned floating seafood restaurants. There's the boat going out to the Jumbo and the Topak restaurants and the Palace. One coming back, and we're now approaching the floating restaurants. They've been there for many, many years, and of course they're well famous for their food, although one doesn't inquire too much about the hygiene. That's the Jumbo floating restaurant with 3 floors, a near miss. Crowded housing around Aberdeen as we head back towards the shore. But first we're going to take a tour amongst the people who live all their lives on these little boats tied up in a little parking slot on the water at Aberdeen. There's one of the boats going out to the restaurant. One coming back. And these are alleyways between the moored boats, so it's sort of crowded. Take a bit of manoeuvring. There are many near misses. We've heard the odd Chinese swear word. I'm not quite sure how the rules of the road work here. Crowded living for all these water dwellers, and beyond the high-rise accommodation of Aberdeen. These are some of the fishing boats that venture out from Aberdeen.
That's it. You see, I miss my daughter when I tried to get her eldest girl. That's why I phoned her from here. Because I got her husband. She wasn't home from school, you know. I stayed behind.
We get caught up in a dead-end alley here and have to turn around again and go out the other way. Again, we strike a confrontation with another boat that wants to use the same bit of water, but it worked out. A little close here though. We're now heading back towards the shore, and our lady skipper looks a bit impatient as she waits to get the call into the water, but we're on our way. Ashore again. We're now cruising around the island to the southern side to have a look at the delightful beach resort of Repulse Bay. And here it is. We're being told how expensive it is to join the club here. A whole year's salary for the average person. We're now coming down onto the beach itself with the high rise all around it.
So on the way to the peak, we see it again, and that time cola. And inside those fast food shops, they are happy rolls.
This is Repulse Bay, a very popular beach resort in Hong Kong. The beach was recently widened by the import of many thousands of tons of sand from Australia. And that is the South China Sea.
This is a Buddhist temple right on the beach, combined with a restaurant. And there are the incense sticks sending messengers to heaven. More of them. There's the Buddha. And another one.
The year of the horse.
Yes, it was the year of the horse, exactly. But back to the beach. A Hong Kong lifeguard club trained by lifesavers from Sydney on top. And there's where they watch the surfers. But
From the top of the peak, there's Kowloon, and then swinging around the buildings on the island itself, and below us, the peak tram heads downhill.
Other side of the tallest building, there's one V-shaped building, just like this one.
a real
V-shaped
concrete
building
jungle.
is the most expensive building, the Hong Kong and Shanghai Band. 5,000 people.
Alles falsch mit dem Auto.
And
Das heißt, das sind
Before
Gebäude,
Victorian houses, always
wenn
peaceful.
dort haben sie dann nicht reingereicht. Da ist alles, ich glaube, da
And that is Cathay Airport.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That one.
And here's another
What's his
big
name?
tram
Bloody
coming up from below.
Steel and glass, and it cost him so much to build. That's what she said.
No, not the first one. The first one's for the drawers. The one next to it with the V's down here is the storage.
It's a busy, busy place. It's so crowded, it's almost unbelievable. That's the Star Ferry plying across from Kowloon to Hong Kong. There's a plane making that spectacular landing between the skyscrapers on Kowloon onto the runway jutting out into the bay of Hong Kong Harbour. Crowded boats at anchor, waiting to discharge their cargoes or pick up new ones. And this wonderful view from the peak of Hong Kong Island, looking at the buildings in the foreground and Kowloon beyond. A truly remarkable sight, despite the haze of the cyclone season. And it's farewell to Shanghai and Hong Kong. This is the last film in the series on China. There were 8 earlier videos, and then Shanghai and Hong Kong as the concluding film to this series. I hope you enjoyed them.